page up there?
They on the keyboard for the sounds. They asked me for the administrative password to put the sound on.
Well, I don't want the sound on that. They should be listening to me.
Okay.
Okay, greetings everybody. This is day 3 of our Google Apps class, Introduction to Google Apps. So we're going to be talking about the 8 Google Apps, and today what we're going to do, according to the notes, is what? Sequoia, what's today's, what are we doing today that it says in today's event? What's the purpose of today's event?
Day 3, right?
Day 3. We are going to create a movement. What type of movement is that not, Brett? Correct. Okay, thank you.
No evacuation of the anal cavity?
So, we're going to actually take the Google Apps and start thinking of them in a practical way, practical applications. So they're just not apps anymore. They're now become tools. And things become tools when you use them. Hammer isn't a tool when somebody describes it to you and says, this is for pounding nails, here's what a nail is. That isn't a tool, that's just an item. When you start using it as a hammer, then it becomes a tool. The Google Apps are tools, and today we're going to focus on how to turn those apps into tools. And to make it easy, we're going to start with a practical application, a made-up application. So who can tell me what that application is? Margaret.
Made-up application?
Yeah, that it says in today's event. What are we doing?
For the continued for today,
Yep.
how to interact with other apps. With Chrome, Drive, Gmail, Calendar.
Okay, let me pull it up because that doesn't sound right. Okay, so today's event, and everybody, this is the one that has Tony Saka, who was here yesterday. Okay, so over on the right in the large box, today we will focus on a practical application of using the Google Apps in a business. The goal being to reinforce what we've discussed to help you remember and to get you thinking of how you can use these when seeking your employment goals. So we're going to focus on how to build a national publication. More precisely, we're going to pick up Seth Godin's yoke and create a movement. So national publication. So what we want to talk about is what are the Google Apps that we're going to use and how are we going to use them to do this national publication? So let's pretend somebody comes to us and says, I want to create a magazine or a national publication. I want to create a national publication. Or it could be an established business that says, I want to get more customers. I want to reach out to my customers. Anybody here familiar with the Hofbrauhaus?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know they have a publication that they print? Okay. Like a newspaper? They print and then they put it into truck stops and gas stations from California to here, from Arizona to here. And the idea is you stop, you go into the gas station, go into the convenience store part of the gas station. That has this newsstand rack, and there's a thing that says Hofbrauhaus. You pick up the paper because you have nothing else to do. It kind of looks cool, and then you say to the people, other people with you in the car, what? Let's stop there.
This looks good.
Okay, that's how a publication can be used by a single business as opposed to a newspaper or publishing company. So we're going to pretend it's a publication, but this is something that could be used for a business. Miguel could do this for his carpet cleaning business if he wanted to have a publication. We could go to businesses and say, hire me because I'll help you get more customers because I know the publishing business. And if they have a lot of customers and they can afford to spend $1,000 a month in promotion, in marketing, then this is an effective tool that they could use. So, is anybody not clear here in Las Vegas on what we're going to focus on? Everybody's clear? Okay, that's kind of dangerous to say that. Okay, how about in California? Is everybody clear what we're going to try to do?
Yes,
Anybody?
we are, Ed.
Okay, so starting in California, what is one Google app that we would use for this publication? I'm going to put it on the board. Just tell me the app and tell me how we would use it
Okay. Anybody?
in California.
What you say? What you say?
We have people that have high energy here, and they want to
Okay, one student said maps.
map. Okay, so how would we use a map for this publication?
Oh. Anybody want to come up and tell them? Okay. Well, for locations, of course.
For what? Locations of what?
For your different locations that you're mapping out.
Okay, but what kind of locations?
What kind of locations?
What do you mean by that, locations? So, Brett, do you think it's too late to get that camera and hook it up over there?
No.
Okay, so I see that we have that camera right there.
Isn't we had it set up for a reason though. One gentleman uses it all the time. Or something.
Yes.
Well, why is he using it? Okay, I don't know. Nothing that I know. Okay, how do we use a map? I can think of 3 ways we can use a map. Just give me one in California.
One.
While we're waiting for California, who can tell me a way here in Nevada?
Location.
Location of what?
It'll allow us to find various locations where we can have the magazine with like various newsstands.
Okay, so let's say distribution points.
Map out your customers.
Okay, is that the same thing? What's the difference?
What is that, Ed, that you're writing? What is it?
Say that again, Dennis?
No, we're trying to see what you're writing, what you're
Oh.
saying. And we're getting,
Well, so the first one I wrote is advertisers.
I think he's referring to potential subscribers.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so here, so one thing is advertisers. Here's where do the advertisers, where are they located? Another one is distribution points and or subscribers. So this is where we send the paper. We get this thing published, now what? We've got a stack of them, now what? If
Okay,
it's
now
free,
what about the areas that you want to target?
pardon me?
The distribution areas, the areas you want to target.
Okay, so we got that. What's another thing for the map could be used for?
Well, distribution, Rob, or whoever's going to deliver the
Collaborate with your other.
Okay.
How about points of interest? Points of interest. So let's say we have stories in there in our publication about something.
Director, what if we need to meet with various writers, illustrators for the magazine? We're going to need maps to find out where they're located in case they want to meet person to person.
Okay, so our resources. So this would be kind of an internal map, right? We wouldn't necessarily share this with our subscribers. So where do our staff writers, where do our staff work? Where do our suppliers, where's the location of our printer? We'd want a map for that, right? Where's the printer's office? Where's the post office if we're going to do mailings? Who else is in this chain? We might want to have an operational map, okay, versus our distribution and subscribers has to do with sales, right? And our advertisers has to do with sales, but that's revenue in. Okay, what's another app in California that we would use besides Map?
How about Google Plus for creating events? Gmail?
Okay, Google Plus. So now, but let's go back to the map thing for a second, because I want to say we're going to have multiple maps. So we might have the distribution points map as a public map, right? We want all of the people who read the magazine to know where you can go get it. Let's say it's a magazine. Where can you go get this thing? We wouldn't want to share the address of where the subscribers are. We never would want to do that, right?
Right.
But we would want to share where you can get it. Advertisers, we would want to share that on our map with the general public, right?
Right.
Because advertisers want people to know how to find them. So far we have an internal and an external. So we have two maps. An internal map, it's a map just for staff, just for the people on the inside of the circle of trust. And then we have a map for everyone else, for the public. And in each map, we can have multiple layers. So in our external map, there could be one layer is advertisers, another layer is distribution points, right? Another layer is points of interest. So we could have 3 layers on the map that the public can look at. And they could say, I just want to see who the advertisers are, or I just want to see where I can get the magazine.
They would go to that layer.
They would just click, make sure that layer was active, okay? Now in Google Plus, it's the same thing. There's some internal things and some external things. So when we say, how would we use Google Plus? Also, let's focus, is that for the general public or is that for inside? Okay, so California, Google Plus, how would we use Google Plus? Say that again, Dennis.
I'm sorry?
Repeat what you said of how we would use Google Plus.
Oh, the create events.
Okay, create events. So that would be internal or external?
Yeah, external.
It could be both.
It could be both.
We have eternal, so internal. So I'm going to put an I and an E. So we have 2 types of events. One is for our inside people. One is for the outside people. Okay, what else could we use Google Plus for?
Well, within the magazine,
How about posting?
we're in the office
Posting pictures.
Okay, social media. Postings. So that comes to circles, right? Right? So we would have circles. Some circles would be internal circles, like just to staff. We want to post something just for staff members. This isn't for general release, general public. Another circle could be for external people. Hey everybody, here's what's happening tonight. Free dessert, if we're a restaurant. Okay, so that would be social media postings. And when we do postings, let's just be very clear. In Google Plus, if you're doing a posting, who can you post to?
Public, following.
Circles.
Okay. Now, in circle and posting, it has the box at the top, right? What do you want to say? What's the next box?
Next
How?
box,
How you're going to? How and what? Is it a link? Is it a picture? Is it a video? Is it a poll? What is it? What is it? What is the document you want to share or post? The file. And then it's to who, right?
Could be acquaintances. Following.
Okay, who? So here, when you fill in the who, what do you put in the who box? What can you put in there?
If it's going internal, it'll be your,
Well, just in terms of Google, not, I'm saying in terms of on Google Plus. If you're going to post something in the who is it for box, what are the types of things you can post for? Public, no, not a link. This is the box below that. So they have a thing that you can just post it to the public. That's not really a good idea most of the time. Because most people out there don't care. Yeah.
Can't you also use Google Plus as like a pop-up chat type deal so that you can communicate with other?
Okay, that's a different question. So we're trying to figure out what can you put in the who box?
Can you post to your customer?
Okay, so circles is one thing. This is a Google Plus question, not a practical question. This is Google Plus. There's two types of things, three things you can put in that box. Somebody who's in your circles, like somebody's email address, right? You know that, right? Everybody knows in that who are you sending this posting to? You can just type in an email address of somebody. You can send it to one person or however many email addresses you have. And if you already have those people in your contact list, you just type their name. You don't even need to know their email address. Okay? So you can type in an email address if you have a circle. That is, let's say, all your employees. You just type in the name of the circle, and it will send that posting to all of the people in that circle. You could send it to, you could type in the name of a community here. So in the who part, so back to Dennis's thing of Google Circles, what do? We do postings. So now the question is, well, who can we post to? We can post to people's email address, we can post to circles, we can post to communities. And they have some restrictions. Like I don't think you can post to a circle and a community at the same time. You just have to send the posting twice. Okay. Now, so what else can we do with Google Plus? What?
You can post to the circle and the community. It'll just go next to you.
Did you hit send?
Well, I didn't put anything in there. But
Okay. Well, you can. So when you hit send is when it would tell you, oh, you can't do both at the same time.
Okay.
So you can test it. Okay. So social media posting. So we have. That's one thing we can use Google Plus for. And one of the great things about Google Plus is if you create circles, you can send different postings to different people, different types of customers. Did you have a community and a circle at the same time? Okay. All right. So you can do it to a community and a circle at the same time. Great. Okay. What else can we do with Google Plus for this publication business?
How about videos and photos and links?
Okay, how would we use those? Because we've already said we'll do events and we'll do social media. I think what you're saying is we can post a video, right?
Post a video, post photos, links for different sites.
Or are you saying we can do a Hangout? Okay, let's say we can do a Hangout on air. In our publication business, why would we want to do a Hangout on air?
Live.
Live. Okay, live would be one thing. Let's say an interview. Let's say in the print version of our publication, we have a story on a guy. But let's say we want to interview the person. Can we do that through Google Plus? How?
set up a Hangout,
Okay, then what?
and then shoot the program.
Okay. So we can do it sort of like two ways. I can invite somebody, we can have a Hangout on air, and he could be standing here next to me. Like tomorrow, Don Dino will be here, Hangout on Air. So we're going to have an interview of Don Dino for the magazine, have an interview, right? People can watch it live. Most people won't. But in the print version, what could we include in the print version?
A link so they could go. back.
Exactly. We could have a link to that interview. So you read the story. Now you want to watch the story? Okay, that's a huge thing. What else? So one thing is, you're standing here next to me, I'm interviewing you. How else can we do a hangout?
You don't-
Exactly, like we're doing this right here. Okay? We're interviewing a guy. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here because he's in Rome right now. Could that be good? Yeah. We have the interview. You can read it. But now you could watch it and, wow, this is kind of cool. I'm watching the interview they had with this guy, and he was in Italy at the time. And what is the benefit of having a Hangout on Air, having a video? It adds to a library. We now start having a library. So if you have a publication, one of the things you always want to have is a library of past editions, right? Past, previous issues, right? Would we want to do that if we have a publication?
Yes.
People to go back and look at past issues? Okay, where would that be stored? What Google app would we use to do that? Drive. Okay. Past issues on Drive. We create the Hangout, we do a Hangout on Air of the interview. What does YouTube automatically do?
Upload it.
Saves it on YouTube, and anybody that has the address can go watch it,
Forever.
like we do on Fridays. Let's say we want to open a branch and we want to train salespeople. Say we want to be like Starbucks. I saw Howard Schultz speak at a big trade show about 10 years ago, longer than that. And he said, when people go to McDonald's, they care that it doesn't taste bad. Okay, people don't go to McDonald's because they expect it to taste good. So when people come to Starbucks, they expect it to taste good. And if you order a latte, you expect that no matter where you get your latte at Starbucks, it's going to be the same. That Starbucks doesn't work if every Starbucks, the people make their lattes the way they want to make their lattes. So Howard Schultz said, what the big challenge for Starbucks is teaching everybody to make a latte exactly the same way, because it's not like making a hamburger. Much more complex than that, and the expectations of the customer are different. McDonald's, you want something fast, and you want something that's not going to taste bad. Starbucks, you don't want to sit there the whole day. Most of the people don't. They just want to get their thing and go. But they expect, if they're going to pay $4 for this drink, they're going to expect it's worth $4. So having Hangouts is a great way, a great simple way to establish standardized procedures. Here's how we do this. And because it's on YouTube, it's always saved. But do we want the public to see that? Do we? No, we don't want the public to see it. So we make that one private. So that would be internal. What else can we use Google Plus for? So we've got events, social media posting, Hangouts on Air. Yeah.
You can pull out a drive, your forms, your documents, your sheets, and your slides, and put that in.
Okay. As a posting or what?
Posting, I guess you can do a link as well.
Okay, so that would be a posting. What about that? To me is something that would be a good thing to put in a community. So what's a community in Google Plus? Bueller.
Well, like NASA is a community.
On Google Plus, what's a community?
Group of people that have the same.
Well, on Google Plus, a community is like a website. So it's a central place for all of the members of that community to go, and you can have categories in there. So if it was a magazine, you could have a category of advertisers, another category that says past issues. You can have a category that says discussions. You can have a category on all the topics. So if we were a baking company that was going to have a publication, we might have different categories of the kind of thing you're going to bake. So anybody who is a member of that community, if they want to know about baking pies, they go over to the bake section, and then they pick pies. And all they have to see makes it easy for them to see information on pies. So if it was like a newspaper, it's like how are newspapers arranged, right? You have sections, right? Right?
Right.
Newspaper, you have a section. Oh, give me the sports section. I want the business section. So on a community, you can have these different categories that are like sections in a newspaper. And then when you post to that community, you post to the category or the section. So if you have, again, back to our baking thing, if somebody has a new recipe for a new type of pie, say, okay, put the recipe on here, put it in the pie baking section of this community. Okay, so like let's say when you're looking at your Google Plus homepage, you can just keep scrolling down forever, right? There's just item after item after item. A community, these sections in a community is a collection that everything that's in there just has to do with whatever that community is about. It's not like being on your Google Plus homepage where you see everything. A section in there is a subset of that community. So again, if the community is about baking, a subsection would be baking pies. Another one would be baking what?
Cakes.
Cakes. What's another one?
Donuts.
Well, you don't actually bake donuts. Donuts are fried. Okay, so what's another section? What else do you bake?
Brownies.
Brownies, cookies, biscuits, whatever. So you would have all of these categories in your baking community. So for our publication, we would have, wait, did you say chicken? Well, I guess if it's not a pastry shop baking, you're right. Okay, good. Okay, so in Google Plus, we have events, social media, postings, hangouts, communities. There's internal and external communities. So here, for example, on People of the Abyss, there's an external community and an internal community. The internal community is where we keep all of our references and resources for people that are members of the internal members to be able to get to, that we don't necessarily want to share with the public. So we would always have two communities, internal and external. Okay, so Drive. How would we use Drive for our publication? Okay, one thing is storage, store, organize. What else? How else would we drive? Okay, docs. Okay. How about forms? Absolutely, yeah. Forms would be a huge one.
Filing.
Okay, so we have filing under storage. Okay, using forms.
That drawing.
Okay, illustrations, drawings, right? Okay, sheets. Okay. So these are the things that we would do to create. Now backing up, these are the things we would do to create a publication using the Google Apps. So far we've talked about Maps, Google Plus, Drive. What's another app?
Calendar?
Calendar. Huge app. What do we keep calendar? Okay. We keep things. Calendar. The best way to think of a calendar is past and future. Past, future. Things done, things not done. Okay. Most things you add to a calendar are in the past or the future. Yeah, most things we add to calendars are in the future. And because of how we have been trained to use calendars, we don't really care too much about the past, right? It's kind of just an afterthought. When did I do that? I don't know. Let me try to remember. Oh, maybe it's in my calendar, or it's on my calendar. The new way of thinking is that the past should be just as important in your mind as the future. So, for example, yesterday, Keith set up appointments for me to go to. I went to the appointments. Should the calendar have more on it than this is what I did yesterday, this is where I went? Like what?
Like the results.
Like the results, right. Okay. And because Google has the search, all these Google apps incorporate search, if I want to know what happened, like let's say 5 years from now, if I wanted to know what happened, could I find out? Yeah. I just search for all events that were with that person or whoever I met with. So what we need to do is think in terms of the past is the historical record. It's the history of what happened. And who is history written by?
Winners.
The winners, right. So it's our opportunity to write down after the event what happened. And the further we get into the future, the more true that becomes. Right? Because probably nobody else wrote a different version of what happened. So an important thing with your calendar is don't just think of it as in terms of the future, also think of it in terms of the past. What did we do? What happened?
Also, if you have the record and you're being challenged by someone who doesn't have the record, you're going to win.
Right. Because history is written by the winners. Right? Yeah. So that's why that's another reason it's important to focus when you have a calendar. Here's what I'm going to do today. Here's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Here's what I'm going to do some other day in the future. And then go back and, well, what did I do yesterday? The things I did yesterday, what happened? Do I need to follow up? Is there anything else I need to do? And that comes down to just developing very good habits of how to use our calendar, which we are not. So we have to focus on natural. Okay, so in the calendar, we'll have a past and the future, right? Okay, what else would we use the calendar for?
Birthdays.
Okay. Birthdays of okay. So it could be birthdays of our advertisers.
Yes.
What about of our subscribers?
Yes.
Why not?
Post a little card or something on the email.
Okay.
That's cool.
These are the little things that it's easy to do, right? Because people don't know how to use these Google apps. Okay. What else can we use calendar for? How about deadline? Different type of event. But this makes it clear, this puts the line in the sand of our publication, here's the day we got to get it to the printer. What's another deadline?
Deadline from your advertisers.
Okay, you need the deadline of people submitting Advertising. What else? What other deadlines?
There'd be a deadline for when their subscription.
Getting them out. Okay. Subscriptions. Okay. Okay. That would be another type of calendar of subscriptions. Okay.
Writers.
Okay. The day you have to submit content. So here's the day we need content. Here's the day we need to get it to the printer. Here's the day we need it back from the printer. Here's the day we need it to be mailed or delivered. Right? Okay, what's another one? Okay, YouTube. How do we use YouTube in our publication?
Advertising.
How do we use it for advertising? For whom? Okay. So we have, this is another one that's both internal and external. So, Brett, is it a big deal to put an ad in your YouTube? You have a YouTube video?
I've been trying to figure that out right now.
Okay.
I don't know.
So no, it's actually easy, but you have to get to the place
I know,
on
to the
YouTube to
studio.
advertise.
Oh, you got to go to YouTube advertising?
Well, if you want to put an ad,
One with all the YouTubes that are out there. Yeah, you go
Okay.
to the, and then they don't charge you unless somebody actually watches the video.
okay, now, or you can have, so you can go to YouTube and say, we would like to let people advertise on our videos. You can go to YouTube and say, we'd like to advertise our publication on other people's videos.
So we can go to them and say that we would like to, our advertisers would like, at the beginning of our thing, that they could advertise? And they'll set it up so where only our people have their advertisement on our thing?
Our thing would have the ads that we wanted on there. We could do that.
You can do that.
Now, but for that, we would want to insert our own ad
Well, yeah.
because we don't want
pay
them to get some of the money,
Yeah.
right? But if we do it
Give the
through
dog a
Google,
bone.
there's the analytics.
Yeah.
They can say to the advertiser, here's how many people actually watch this.
And, you know, that copyright and all that other crap we were worried about, if you throw the dog a bone, they're a little more willing to work with you.
Okay. All right. So something in here about YouTube about feeding dogs. Okay. Okay, so advertising is, we can sell advertising and we can place advertising.
That's the part that I was looking at in the studio, about
Okay.
putting a little...
We can add ads into our videos and we can put our ads in other videos. So what else for YouTube? What else can we do in YouTube?
I was wondering, what about, say, like surveys, what they think of our magazine?
On YouTube?
I'm not that familiar with YouTube, but
Okay.
I was just throwing that out there.
Well, that would be a form thing. That would be on forms.
Okay.
What else can we do with YouTube?
Well, if we're working on world domination, we would want to use YouTube to train our other.
Okay. So we would create
facilities.
libraries. What do they call libraries? Playlists. They call them playlists. So we could create playlists for, again, internal and external. For example, we want to teach people how to sell advertising. We can go put in the YouTube search box, we could type in what? How to sell for a publication. And if there's any video out there that somebody posted on YouTube of how to sell advertising in a publication, guess what? It'll come up. Then what do we do with it? Well, we don't post it. It's like posting it, but we add it to a playlist. We create a playlist, which is a category, or would be like a section. So training videos, as an example. If there was if we're trying to figure out how to have a Hangout on-air interview. Let's say we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to do a Hangout on-air video or interview, but we had never done one before. We can try to do one, right? Or what's the other thing we need to get in the habit of doing? Thank you, George. What's the other thing we could do? We could go in and put in a search that says, what? Right. How to interview people on a Hangout. And then we could take, if we like that video, what do we do with it? We add it to our playlist, which in effect shares it with everybody else who has subscribed to that playlist or subscribed to our channel that has access to that. What else can we do with YouTube? What do we do? What's our basic business here? It's the business we're creating. A publication, right? So we can have video stories, right? What do people do now more? Watch or read?
Watch.
Right. So wouldn't that be kind of cool if you had a publication that there was a tremendous amount of video? Like, let's say you didn't have to read it, you could just watch it. Yes?
This is what we're trying to accomplish with People of the Abyss.
Exactly. Okay, good point. So with People of the Abyss, that only works if people can see what homelessness is like. You can't write, nobody can write well enough. Well, let's say this, we can't find someone who can write well enough to adequately describe how bad homelessness is, to capture the reader's attention. You know, like
Pathos.
One-Eyed Willie had a video, not a video, it was a video of himself. He was interviewing himself, talking about in Felony Flats in November of 2013. He's living in this place that has, you know, just garbage, junk everywhere, dirty diapers, urine on the floor, infested, used syringes all over the place, but that's his shelter. And describing how with his pocket knife he had to remove a tennis ball sized cyst off the thigh of a prostitute. You can't write that as well as you can put it in a short little video of just how miserable that life is. You can't describe that person as he's using his pocket knife and sterilizing it over his little Sterno can. So something, YouTube videos are way more powerful than writing them. And it just so happens that it's easier to do it with the video, right? You don't have to have tremendous skills. Probably have to be able to hold the camera steady. And just an FYI for everyone, if you are doing interviews, the most important thing is the audio. If people can't hear it, they're not going to be interested, they're going to be frustrated. So you want to make sure they can hear it. And then the other thing is, don't hold the camera this way, hold it that way. And make sure people can hear it. And then you have it. Huh? The lighting has to be good enough, but you probably aren't going to have great lighting. Like if you look at some of the ones that Brad did, the lighting isn't great, but it's good enough. And does anybody remember the movie Blair Witch Project? Okay. What was so unique about that?
It was the first time a movie had been done in shape.
Exactly. So it was the first thing that was like, this is somebody using a home camera. Is this real? Did this really happen? Right? That was the whole thing. And you just weren't really sure how real it was. It could have been something happening and went really bad, right? So people are using Yes, and there was another movie, I can't remember, it was It Invaded, and it was a guy at a party. He had his camera the whole night as the aliens are invading.
A Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
Right.
Cloverfield.
Yeah. Okay. So YouTube is the hidden M for this publication. People can always figure out that they have time to watch them. People don't have time to read. And where can we watch stuff from?
Anywhere.
Yeah, now your phone, laptop, tablet, phablet, PC, just about everywhere. And when you have some downtime, you're waiting, you can go watch this. So you're right, Dave, about people of the abyss. Okay, it's time. Break time. So we'll continue this tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Hello,
Okay.
Joe.
Thank you.
I see Joe watching me, watching him. Yeah.
Hey, on the Hangout, so how do you